Gaming setup. Gaming on Linux is a little tricky thing. It can be done really well, as we've seen in the past with the Steam Deck. Steam Deck does it better than pretty much anybody. But the thing is, that's not really the stock experience. When you just grab any Linux distro off the shelf, a lot of times it doesn't come like that. There's a couple exceptions, like I covered Bazite and other distributions that are much more friendly towards gaming right out of the gate. Nabarro is also another great starting spot if you're a big gamer. But today I wanted to be, hey, if you're just a normal person installing like Debian or Arch, which is a huge distribution, they don't really come with a really good setup on gaming. So I want to set up all these and have an evolution of the script for gaming. And what that looks like is setting up wine dependencies, setting up Steam and Proton, doing Mango HUD, doing Lutris, and all of the things, and kind of having those options for a user right out of the gate. So they just go, hey, I got a new Arch install, I got a new Debian install, I got a new Fedora install. Let me just click this and install all the packages I need, instead of having to Google it around and then go, okay, let me grab this, paste it into your terminal, and then off you go. So that's the idea of today, is gaming setup script for the big three, which is Arch, Fedora, and Debian. So that's the idea. Should be a lot of fun. We kind of got system set up, and I've started breaking this apart. So each number in the Linux toolbox that you see, we've already done like my bash and NeoVim. I'll probably revisit these a little bit, but for the most part, they're like 80% done. System setup, we started with like Roman numeral 1 the other day. I kind of expanded these and been like, hey, for system setup with essential packages, we'll probably think about how we're going to add these things into the first setup stage. Today, we're approaching the second setup stage, which will be the gaming setup. And this is kind of what I deem essential. And if chat, you want to chime in and say, hey, Titus, you're off your rocker, you're missing this, or I would make these changes, we'll add that in as well. And then like third stage is like container setups, which as I'm looking at this, that's actually distro box needs to be added here too. Which container setups are really important for any Linux install, just because there's going to be times your package manager doesn't have your back. It doesn't have that package that you want. And inevitably what I see some new users do is install a whole new distribution, which is ridiculous. You should never do that for just to make something work. There's so many different ways of getting that program to work, whether you build from source, whether you do a Flatpak, a Nix package, a bottle, app image, or a full-blown distro box, and then just tie it right into your thing where you just use a different package manager from a different distribution on your current distribution. There's so many different ways to skin that cat. I hate seeing people not get programs to work and then reinstalling Linux. Don't do that. As someone that has done it in the past, specifically for that when I first started out, it was just completely ridiculous. I wish someone told me that. So now you've been told. And then theming setup, obviously. Theming in Linux can be a little tricky, and I kind of want to cover all the bases. I'm not great with it, so that one's going to take a while probably to do. And then a dev environment. Probably I only have Git and GH right now, which is GitHub CLI, but probably add like Node.js, Python setup for like pip and other packages. There's a lot that can go into the dev environment setup that we can approach. And then obviously all this, it's going to take some bit, but I think really just kind of, we'll skip around a little bit on the system setup. So depending on the day, you might see the stream title be something a little different, but this is the thought process that goes into it. So that's it. Yeah. Someone clutch, but a person who knows how to set up would already know the packages. Will separate toggle from Steam, Wine like the Windows Toolbox, or toggle for gaming as a whole. It depends, Clutch. I think this script will just check to see if the packages are there or they aren't. If they're there, cool. It's not going to install them. If they aren't, it'll install them. But yeah, I think that's the gist of it. No reason to do that. The thing is, nobody knows all these packages by heart. You're looking up, hey, what is the wine dependencies? Wine dependencies on Lutris. Yeah, like, no one's gonna remember all of that. No one's gonna remember all of that. They're gonna have to, like, Google it and then copy paste. This is typically how it's done. And that's if someone knows what they're doing. Imagine people that don't know what they're doing. They're like, why isn't wine working? Why isn't Lutris working? Why is my BattleNet not show anything? I don't see anything on my fonts and those types of things. There's a lot of little nuance there. Too often do I hear Linux users say, it just works. Bullshit, it does not. Let's just be real. Come on, guys. I mean, yeah, I think Nabara does probably the best on that. And so does Bazai. Bazai does a fantastic job of kind of already having all this stuff baked in. So same with SteamOS. But most distributions just do not. Sassy Pants, thanks for the gifted subs. Have you tried Windows 10 LTSC? Yeah. Come on, man. I've done IT for like 20 years. I've tried every single Windows incarnation known to man, and then some. Yeah. Appreciate it though. LTSC is a whole different thing. I don't cover it very much on the channel just because the licensing is a little tricky, and I don't condone piracy. You can probably get some licensing through, like, again, key websites and things like that. But again, I'm not going to cover that. But isn't the whole point of Linux to experiment and customize? Yeah, this gives you a good foundation to experiment and customize. So that's the big thing. Experiment, customize. That's what I really want for all this. Like, these settings aren't going to be very controversial. That's the big thing here, is these are just basic, sane stuff that everyone's doing to their installs. Everyone's installing like these. If you're a gamer on Linux and you do game, you're going to want the gaming setup, and you're going to want all of 32-bit. You're going to want these libraries on every install, without question. If you don't game, then you won't. So that's the thought process here. Yeah. The whole point of Linux is to escape Windows and Mac. Well, you know, I mean, you can escape them to an extent. It just depends on what it is. You know, I've actually, this is embarrassing, but I'll tell you. I do use Windows right now for Destiny 2. The new Destiny 2 I'm actually playing. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of myself. I'm me. You can berate me for playing Destiny 2. Oh, I hate Bungie. They're so greedy and awful. But at the same time, it's still a kind of a cool expansion. I like the story. They really kind of tied it up in this last expansion, and I'm enjoying that gameplay. Terrible. Bad Titus. Bad. You shouldn't like Destiny 2 and Bungie. Man, I don't know, this next expansion, I'm like, I'm kind of enjoying myself. I'm ashamed of myself for after my like 2 or 3 hour play session, but I wanted to play through the story, which I did. So gaming, thanks for the prime. Yeah, Destiny 2 Helldivers. Got any gaming advice for Fedora Red Hat based distributions? I run Fedora with BSPWM. Are you having any problems? We all have our guilty pleasures. Yeah, that's been my latest guilty pleasure. Old Destiny 2. Ugh. Disgusted with myself on that one. All right. I think I jumped on a little early today, so we're gonna have plenty of time. I feel like on Tuesday's stream we just didn't have enough time to really make a lot of headway. We did make some changes, but not a whole lot. Not as much as I really wanted to, you know? Chris, do you think blocking telemetry in Windows with a firewall is worth it? I mean, it's all kind of relative and somewhat worth it, depending on what you're doing. It just, you just need to know you're not going to get it all. You can't air gap Windows. That's the thing. Like, unless you just don't have it connected to the internet. You can try and you'll get most of it. I think you can get a lot of it, but eventually you start losing functionality the more you strip out and the more you block. There's going to be times where you're going to need that telemetry, specifically to run a lot of Microsoft apps. They start freaking out if you take out too much and you block too much. That's the thing. There's this happy medium area where you're a little more private with some good telemetry tweaks, and you still have the customizability and also ability to run Microsoft programs, but you just never can get 100% there. You just really can't. How's it going, Sparky? Have you messed around with OS X KVM? Yeah. Sparky, the April Fool's joke this year was, if you look back through, that was actually an OS X KVM. That was actually a virtual machine Mac. So I showed like the Mac Mini in that video. I just couldn't be bothered to hook it up and then mirror the screen and then record it. So I just was like, oh, you know what? Nobody will know the difference. So I just spun up an OS X KVM and did it that way to punk everybody. What do Microsoft even do or use with telemetry? A variety of things. So telemetry's main function is to improve the program that you're in. That's the primary use of telemetry 90% of the time. The other 10% can be used for data collection, specifically to sell to marketing companies, such as, hey, Amazon, here's a huge bulk of a million customers. Here's their preferences and what they're like looking at, what they don't like looking at. So that data is worth something from a marketing standpoint. So that's probably like another chunk there that you can actually monetize telemetry if you're a big company. So you can sell those in packages to other big tech or big data. And a lot of people think of it from a spying perspective, but really telemetry is not usually used in that regard. Nobody cares about you. That's the truth. Truth of the matter. A lot of people think they're more important than they really are, and that's just how it is. So yeah, that's the funny thing. Like, everyone's like, I need to protect myself. The government's gonna come in and spy on me, and I'm like, one, you're probably not that important, and two, you really think the government's competent enough to spy on you that well? Parts of it kind of are, like maybe the NSA a little bit, but for the most part, they're pretty incompetent. So, that's just my thoughts on telemetry in general. I like to block telemetry when I can, and make as good of an environment and good of a foundation as I can when I'm doing stuff. Hey, I wanted to ask. I need Windows, unfortunately. Don't we all? Should I use Windows 11 considering Windows 10 is stopping support soon? Yeah, probably. If you're doing a fresh install, I would do Windows 11. Hey, Chris, started using Window Manager because of you, all getting used to it. The simplicity makes it better than a full desktop environment. That's what I'm saying, Peter. I agree 100% on that. You're currently using DWM. I heard it has a problem with full screen games and drag resiling tiling windows. How are you handling that? It depends on the version of DWM. So like if I'm doing, let's say like I have different tweaks here, but let's go into like a floating environment. So I float the window and then I just resize it like this. So it just depends on what you're doing and what your aim of things are. So like I can go back into a tiling setup like this, and my fork takes care of all that. So if you go to DWM Titus, you can do it. And we have one really talented dev out there that has been constantly updating and actually helping me out with DWM Titus. Big shout out to Fezzo. That's not his full name, but you'll see all his commits on DWM Titus over on GitHub. Very cool. But yeah, I really enjoy DWM. Real simplistic, very easy. Everything's just one binary, about 100 kilobytes, and that handles all my windows. And I love it. There's no good. Have you guys seen the government anti-hacker series? I have not. And I'm not like super hacker man over here. I'm just, most of my viewpoint, I want to point this out to people. Most of my viewpoint on things comes from like a sysadmin perspective. So I'm very practical, very realistic. I do not hack hack things. I've never been paid to. A good person to address a lot of that, like Thor at Pirate Software, does a pretty good job on his streams, I think, addressing it, because he has been paid. I think he even won some like DEF CON series, and I think even like Mr. Robot copied him and stole one of his projects to put and feature in the TV series, which most people like. And hacking content does very well in social media, but yeah, it's not really been my forte. I've always been an infrastructure guy, practicality, fixing things, and then just making sure the environments exist for developers and other people to use. So I'm the guy that gets things done. So let's say you want this to happen. You'd come to me and like, Titus, I need this to happen, and I don't want this to happen. Okay, I'll set that environment up for you. That's me. That's what my expertise are. Implementation. Sometimes it's not pretty, but I get it done. Why is the Windows utility tweaks turning off Microsoft Windows Defender? I think there is a bug in the program. Shouldn't. Let's see. My Defender's on. Let's see. Right? Or did I strip it out? Defender. Windows security. Oh, here, let's turn it on. Oh, I see what you're saying. So here's the actual settings. What it does turn off is this. It looks like Windows Defender is off. Yeah, here's a shady Microsoft thing. Linux folks are gonna love this. So, right? If you look, and we go to security, Windows security. Oh no, we're vulnerable, right? That's what it's gonna say. Caution, it's off. If you're a Windows user, oh my God, I'm disabling your antivirus. No, that's not at all that's happening. This is just what Microsoft wants you to believe. What we did just now was automatic sample submission is off. What is automatic sample submission? It's a pretty long-winded way of saying taking stuff from your computer and sending it to Microsoft for them to analyze. That's what that is. Do you want that on? Do you want to send a whole bunch of stuff to Microsoft for them to analyze and them to tell you it's okay to sample stuff from your computer? That's what it's doing. But to just put everything on, let's just throw everything on. Sure. Let's just toss it all on. Let's go all full Microsoft recommendations. And then let's run it. Let's go. Let's just do it right now, just so you can see it. It's kind of tricky. There's a lot of dark patterns in Windows when you look at it. A lot of tricks they like to play on you. They've been doing it for years. All right, let's just go standard. I do need to change some of that. I don't like that positioning. Anyhow, it's fine. Let's just run the tweaks. We're just gonna go standard and click run tweaks. Let's see this go. Let's do it live. Do it live. Defender I don't recommend disabling Defender. It's just, as much as I hate Defender, don't get me wrong, it's just Windows is a little bit rough. Very insecure environment, and I hate all antiviruses, but I understand they're a necessary evil. It's better, honestly. Yeah, I'm kind of in the camp where you just don't even bother buying an antivirus anymore. If you're going to roll an antivirus, might as well just be Defender. In a business setting, I still obviously use like SMB kind of overview screen, so I know when users do stupid things, but in a home setting, just use Defender. Yeah, and if you see Norton or McAfee or any of those big ones that are just basically viruses themselves, just uninstall those and just rock Defender. Common sense is the best antivirus. True. Very true. Chris, where can I pay for the WinUtils? It's kind of a game changer. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, if you want to support the project, christitus.com/downloads. Here, I'll put it in chat. Yeah, let's just go and let's go over here. Let's go christitus.com/downloads. Here you go. If you want to contribute, you don't have to. Again, I just have this here for folks to have like an executable file. You do have to exclude it from Defender. It does sometimes flag my executable as a virus because it does system changes. So you do need to exclude it, or just run it from PowerShell. It is free. You don't have to. So it just helps fund the project. I really appreciate everybody that does buy it, but you don't have to. I do want to tell people that. All right. So we've done it, right? We've run all the tweaks, the standard tweaks, everything's there. It's good to do just every once in a while. I don't care when I do it. But if we come back into our system security, what does that look like now? Is it going to freak out? Oh my gosh. Disable it. Yeah, there it is. But if you look, it's actually still protecting you. It's tricky, Microsoft. But yes, the big things here that you have to worry about with Defender, where its maximum potency, is real-time protection and cloud-delivered protection. Defender kind of sucks offline. That's where it's like just awful. Like use ESET Nod32 is probably a really good offline tool if you're going to do a lot of offline scanning. But for the most part, these two settings are the big things that actually protect you. That's the big stuff. So there you go. A little bit further explanation. I thought I'd take the time, show people that. It's not really disabling. That's the thing. Yeah, the pain of disabling real-time protection. There's ways to get around that, Peter. You can actually modify and disable Defender. I like doing it through group policies, but to each his own. Hey, Rux, how's it going? Good morning. All right, let's get into some gaming setup for Linux. I think that's the big thing we want to do here. We have our compile set up, and the thought process here would be, maybe I break these out into independent bash scripts was the thought. Like when we look at the Excel draw setup, we have our system setup at the very start, but how the Linux toolbox is structured right now. So let's go linutil. So it's set up like this, and then I figure we'll break into like a system setup right here, and then it would launch each independent script. But I almost want to do a stepped process where it automatically always sets up that directory. I'm trying to think through this for a second. That's the big thing. It's not necessarily the coding that I think a lot of people get lost in the weeds on the coding. Having a good structure is just so important. And modularity is something that I've really learned to appreciate in the last couple years. Specifically, like on WinUtil, it's so nice. The more modular you make a project, it might be a little harder to pick up on when you first start contributing, but it makes maintenance so much easier. So I really do appreciate more modular design. cttstore.com is my website. The whole reason why I did that was because Linus, actually, he has lttstore.com, and I thought, hey, that'd be pretty funny to have cttstore.com. I don't really use it. It all just redirects to christitus.com at the end of the day. But I thought it would just be funny just to be like, go to cttstore.com. I thought, I'll just drop that in some videos. I'm just terrible at marketing. I fail at my job. Yeah. Easier to remove depreciated stuff. Yeah, true. It also makes it easier for people to contribute and just be like, oh yeah, this gaming setup needs to be changed like this because this got removed or changed. So that's one thing about Linux. It does change a lot. Where a lot of new Linux users get in trouble is they copy and paste old how-to terminal commands from like 5 years ago. That stuff's just no longer valid. Like, if it's not within the last couple years, a lot of stuff specifically about Linux gaming is just completely wrong because it's changed so much just in a couple years. Really, the Steam Deck changed a lot. I don't know. What is up with the amount of highlighted messages today? More people using points, I guess. How about that? Maybe I'll increase the the amount. Most of the OGs that have been watching me for years have probably 20,000 points or something ridiculous, so they could probably redeem highlighted messages every message. I saw your video about Windows Server, and you had some issues about AMD drivers. I finally solved it. I left a comment on, oh, yeah. Yeah, Kaizen, actually, after that video, I think we figured out a way to get it done. But I don't know if it's worth it. I do, in fact, have 20K points. Yeah. Oh, man. 50K, that's awesome. I know. I need to get back to the push-ups. The push-ups were great. What's your opinion about gaming on Debian stable with flat packs only? I think that's fine, depending on what you're doing. I think it's a little more limiting compared to like having more up-to-date packages on Arch. So you're probably going to have more compatibility on Arch compared to a Debian stable setup. But the Debian stable will probably be more stable. So to each his own. I still have the supports up there. I actually took the bar down and threw it away. Yeah, the pull-ups were great. Oh, I love pull-ups though. They're my favorite. If I had a bigger room, I would totally do that. That would be awesome. I'm a Linux noob, however, I have Nibara 40. And I have no clue how to launch any game on Steam, such as Helldivers 2. What happens when you hit play? I mean, technically, Nibara should have a pretty sane setup out of the box, so it should be pretty much just launch Steam, click Helldivers 2. If you have games on NTFS drive, it will fail. Yeah, that's true. Does anybody try to do that? That'd be kind of crazy. Installing in Windows and installing in Linux are two different things. Yes, the process to the end user is the same, but the games in Linux are set up completely different, and the structure is completely different compared to an install on Windows. So you can't just use the same Steam library folder in an NTFS drive. Don't ever try it. I did try that, by the way. Does not work. Don't do that. But I did it just for science. And yeah, no bueno. No bueno at all. No good. All right. Let's do something. I have not gotten a lot of programming done. This was our compile setup. Feel like this should be, trying to think. Like, I want everybody to run this compile setup first, and then maybe we launch into the gaming setup.sh. We could hard code this behavior into the Linux toolbox as well. Oh, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, probably the best way to do it is to step through each one of these scripts. We'll do the scripts independently today. I'm just thinking more from an end user's perspective to make it as simple as possible for them. And that is kind of my thought process. So the next one will be gaming setup.sh. And I think that's the way to go. Yeah, something like this is kind of the thought process here, but obviously wine dependencies is the first thing we're going to do. Let's take our old compile script too. We have our check environments. We have all this. You know what? Let's just take this guy. Yeah, let's just take the whole thing again. But this time we're going to remove some stuff, such as, since we're stepping through, we don't need to verify or clone the Linux toolbox at all. And we're already in the directory as the prior one compile sh will always be run. This second one is going to be an optional component. We'll ask the end user, hey, do you want gaming setup or not? And then it checks the environment. We already are checking this, so I don't think we probably will need to run this. Let's see, check environment, and then we have installed dependencies. This is where we change things. So the check environment, we're going to skip. If we look, yeah, we're going to need check environment just because we're setting the package manager right here. And then in dependencies, I believe we are checking Packer. If we look for Packer in here, that is actually specified up here in check environment. That's what I thought. What is the best spinoff for either Arch or Debian for all types of games? I liked Bazite. If you have to ask, I think Bazite does it the best. I think it's the most sane setup for a newbie. All right, so now we're going to install the dependencies that are needed. These are going to look a little different depending on the package manager that is used, such as Wine probably can be used or installed each one, but I think Wine staging really is no longer a thing. It used to be, but now I believe Wine's kind of overtaking where staging is no longer needed. We used to just do in wine-staging install, but I think Wine no longer really does that. There's Wine Devil and then just regular Wine now, which is, you know, how it should be really. There shouldn't be 3 versions of Wine. Yeah, I still use Fresh RSS. I love it. Just pop in and then I get all my news of the day. It's the way to get it. I did hear YouTube ads are going to be baked in. They're going to do like transcoding. That's going to be interesting. We'll see how that pans out because they have given up the war on ad blockers. But then they're like, well, if we bake our ads directly into the VOD of the video, basically, we can transcode it directly to the end user and then they can't ad block it. So that's Google's new nefarious plan to get you to watch ads. I think that's what Twitch does. I don't know if that's what Twitch does. Yeah, Twitch already tried that. Yeah, Twitch ads, man. Ooh, how much am I making off of Twitch ads? I know it's a whole bunch. Watch out. Might be able to take out my family to McDonald's. Let's see. What am I making? Where's revenue? Earnings. All right, 352. I made $31.61. Yeah, I don't think I can take the whole family to McDonald's on that one. I could probably take myself and maybe my son. Might squeak my daughter in there, depending on the order. But yeah, $31 this past month on ads. Thanks, Twitch. That's amazing. Heavy sarcasm. It's just, it is what it is. It's fine. I love doing this. I mean, that's the thing. If I really didn't like it, I just wouldn't do it. Because obviously, this is not the best for revenue. Although I think it's funny, like Asmongold probably is probably the most funny on Twitch because he doesn't do any ads. He's not partner or affiliate or anything. So they can't even run ads on his stream. So it's just a complete ad-free stream experience. And then he just chops it up and makes all his money on the VODs and YouTube. I think that's pretty hilarious. You can get 25 cheeseburgers with that. Cheeseburgers are way more than $2 here. I think the cheeseburgers at McDonald's, at least my local McDonald's, were $2.59 last time I looked. But don't quote me on that. Oh, okay. They do put ads on non-partner affiliate streams. Okay, well, good to know. Never mind then. So they put ads everywhere then. I don't feel so bad. My local McDonald's cheeseburgers are almost $5. Whew. Yeah, why would you ever eat at fast food if it's that much? That's crazy. Yeah, I don't eat fast food much at all anymore. Don't get me wrong, it's not because I don't think it's delicious. It's just terrible for you and it's so expensive. It's like I would go bankrupt doing it. So I'm like, no. I'll just go to the store and bake something. Yeah. All right. Sorry, man. All right. Focus, Chris. Here we go. Making this happen. All right. So we got Pac-Man. I think what we're going to do here, this just sets up AUR with dependencies. So our dependencies up here. Oh, I don't really like how this is done because it is drastically different, the wine dependencies between package managers and distributions. I think the big thing here is, yeah, I don't think we can do it this way. I think we're going to have to do each one independently, which is fine. So what we're going to do, let's remove the dependencies right there. And then what we're going to do We already have the 32-bit architecture that we've set up. This one is for Debian / Ubuntu derivatives. Let's come on over here. We're going to go to apt, right? Where are you apt? We already have build essential and compile dependencies. We're going to just grab these right here. And we've already done all this, so we're going to get rid of it. And that's good. So this is going to be the new dependencies for apt. Next up, let's do Arch. Arch is kind of a big one. Now this might be a little old. Wine staging, is that still... Let's go paru ss wine staging. So wine staging right now is 9.8-1. What does... let's just go wine. Oh, geez, that's going to give me a billion different things, isn't it? All right, let's just do a Pac-Man S wine. Just to limit it down, we're not going to use the AUR. What does wine give me? 9.10. Wine staging is no longer valid. Yeah, that's what I thought. On all Arch-based distributions, wine staging is no longer a thing. You just want regular wine. What's your favorite food cuisine? Oh, probably salmon. I really like fish a lot. I love, yeah. Heck, I even like cod, mahi-mahi, salmon. Even tilapia is fine. All fish is really solid. Chicken I love too. Like just as good smoked chicken. You know, I have a little smoker and I'll do a ton of chicken usually. And then I'll have a bunch of leftovers, and then I'll just toss it in like a Tupperware container, and then I'll just eat it like a meat cookie for lunch, cold. Won't even heat it up. Just be like, ooh, chicken patty. Num. Delicious. All right. We're going to take this guy, copy it, and come back into here. All right, here we go. Oh, I don't have alerts set up. You resubbed and it didn't show. When did you do it? I don't see it here. Did you do it on Twitch or YouTube? 2 minutes ago. Twitch. That didn't register on my Twitch or my Twitch dashboard. All events don't show anything. But I do have alerts set up. Holy smokes. Cheeseburger at McDonald's in Australia is $5.60. Big Mac is $8.70. Good day to you. Wow, that is rough. My word. Well, I'm sorry. Well, Kang, I appreciate the sub, even though it didn't show on my screen. Just realized your to-do is wrong. Really? Pray tell, good sir, how is it wrong? I'm always up for being wrong on something. This staging is wrong, though. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to fix that. You're not doing Linux Toolbox. I am doing Linux Toolbox. This is a section of it. It's not the same repository of Linux Toolbox, but it will be launched using Linux Toolbox. A little asterisk next to it. Because the Linux Toolbox launches bash scripts. So we're making all of everything like really modular. So one, anybody can contribute because everyone pretty much could read a bash script. And then two, kind of making it that way. I could do all this in Rust. It'd probably be a little bit faster, but less people could contribute if I did that. That's why I kind of like having it all separate projects. So how it looks, the structure of this, let's go back to our little thing. The structure of this is the Linux Toolbox. Everything that's a number is going to be an option. A number and a Roman numeral, I've changed it up before the stream started, is going to be an option inside of it. If there's Roman numerals, this is going to be sub options that you're going to be able to select in the Linux Toolbox. Obviously, this is very early stages due to change. Every time we stream, it's going to change until we get more of a base usage and I test it out and everything's great. Then we can look at, hey, okay, now we can start baking things in, optimizing for just general user experience. And that's the big thing. The big thing about this too, this is going to be wild. Are you ready for this? It's going to be absolutely crazy. I'm going to do it for the first time ever in Linux. I'm going to optimize it for user experience, meaning I actually care what the users think about how it's done. I know that's the most anti-Linux thing I've ever said, but it's happening. I will not be like, just use terminal. It works for me. I should write a GitHub action that just replies to every issue on Linux Toolbox. Works for me. It works on my computer. That'd be the most Linux thing ever. It'd just be like, works for me, RTFM. That would be so great. Oh my word, that'd be the most Linuxy thing ever. All right. Very cool. All right, so we got the wine dependencies going here for Arch. We have the wine dependencies for Debian. Let's grab wine dependencies for Fedora. Let's get this, kill this guy. And ooh, you guys spotted an error on our compile dependencies here too. Where is compile dependencies declared? That's declared right here under apt. Ah, yeah, no, that's right. Nope, never mind. We're good. Anywho, moving on to this. Let's look at Fedora. How does Fedora handle its wine dependencies? Wine. Okay, well, that's gotta appreciate Fedora's dependency resolution here. Wine. that's actually kind of nice. That's pretty funny. Okay, the Arch way, the Debian way, the Fedora way. That's that's pretty great. Now for OpenSUSE, they do not have that listed. SUSE. What do we have? Wine for OpenSUSE. What does that look like? Do we have dependencies for it? Oops. Nope. No. Remove. No dependencies. Only install wine for OpenSUSE. Ah, thanks. Thanks, AD. Let me know. You know, when it comes to Linux Toolbox, I have no control what users do. The thing that I did for Windows Toolbox, it's kind of like how I make videos too. And this is kind of I guess this is the way to think of it. I always make things for myself. So what I made Windows Toolbox for myself 10 years ago. Now, my version of Windows Toolbox was much different than what you see today. My version of Windows Toolbox was all CLI based. You just run the PS1 script and it just did all the configurations without any user interaction. And it makes everything up. So then I think I was like, back when I was making like a lot more videos on YouTube, I was like, I need to make a video. You know what? I have that old script I did on a bunch of installs, and I still do it on a lot of new, fresh Windows installs, is I usually reinstall Windows every year or two. Windows just kind of gets gunked up with registry and just a lot of the structure of it. So I was like, I'll just make that, push it out to a bunch of people. And a lot of people are like, hey, I love this, but I don't like this. I want to customize it this way. So really, what you see today is just an what's that word I'm looking for? Failed English. Anywho, it's just a compilation of all users' feedback into one configuration that can be modified to your needs. And really that's what Windows Toolbox turned into. It was initially all about me, and then people added their 2 cents, and then we modified it to make it usable for them. And then that's just kind of how it goes. Yeah, amalgamation. Say that 3 times fast. Yeah, that was yeah, it's gone. It's gone. I see the word on the screen and I just can't say it anymore. All right. Anywho, that's the gist of it. So the Linux Toolbox, this is gonna be, hey, when I start my Arch or I start my Debian, I just want to run this one script and have it set up for me. And then once it's able to do that, then it's like, okay, well, can it work for you? All right, run it. No? Or, oh, I would do this different. And then I take your feedback and then I improve it. And it's just all these little tiny things that keep stacking up and keeps coming forward until it turns into something that you just don't even recognize anymore. You're like, dang, that's a big program that a lot of people use. That's kind of insane. But I never think of it like that. I never like, oh, it's going to be this huge thing that everyone's going to use. I think of it as, hey, this is going to be a tool I'm going to use. And then if other people use it and find it useful, sweet. And if it's not, why? Can I make it useful for them? That makes me feel good. When you can use a tool that I made and it makes your life easier, I mean, that's just good karma. That just is a great feeling. So that's why. Amalgamation. Thank you. Thank you for spelling that out. I needed that. Appreciate you. I think it'd be cool that the Toolbox does let you set GitHub user to get the repos in case you have forks of my bash and stuff. Oh yeah, that'd be cool. For sure, DP. Dag, thanks for joining the techs over on YouTube. SUSE 15.6 finally dropped. How really? They moved? What's the new one called? It was Leap last time. Is it Super Ultra Leap this time? I'm just kind of curious. 1 second. Or is it still called Leap? Oh, it's just still Leap. It's not like a major update. It's just 15.6 compared to 15.5. All right. Well, I was kind of hoping for like a new code name. Cool. That's neat. All right. Well, I always look forward to the code names that Linux users come up with. It's always the fun part. All right, so I think we got SUSE, we got Fedora, we got all that done. Now, let's make this even better. The big thing here, let's get rid of this and that guy. And we're just going to make this wine. Actually, it's a little redundant, isn't it? Those are the same thing. I think we can actually just do or zipper. I mean, honestly, I probably should separate those just in case they change, but I don't know. It feels right to me. Why not use a platform agnostic Nix package manager? Less work. Possibly, but these are also fundamentally working with the system itself. These are dependencies that are going to be highly used, and you do lose a little bit of performance with Nix in comparison. Definitely less work, I agree with you, but for these things that, you know, these 32-bit libraries and things like Steam, I want them as native as possible instead of putting them through, it's not a container per se, but I'm going to say a container like Nix. Proof, WDYM, less performance. I don't know. Will it even work like that? I've never done it like that, Phoenix. Done everything through Nix. You need to do trash CLI for PipX. Ooh, that's good to know. I need to put that in there. Does it run as fast as everything? Oh, let's test it out real fast, Phoenix. Let's just check. Do I have Nix installed? I do not have Nix installed. Let's install Nix. Because I like your idea, Phoenix. You always have good ideas. Let's check it out. Nix packages. All right, let's install Nix packages. Let's check. And apparently I forgot how to do it. Anyways, that's why I make videos. You think I make videos for other people, but really I just make it for myself so I can copy paste things. All right, cool. Yep. Thanks, Chris Titus. Appreciate you. Bam. All right, let's install some Nix. All right. Why do you think Nix is a sort of container? Do you not understand how the store works? I'd say I probably don't understand it 100%. I just know the /Nix store is a folder that drops everything in there. And you have different generations that also add different versions. So like when you upgrade a package, it's actually in there twice. Unless you flush and do some kind of garbage management with Nix. All right, variables are set. Either log in or type nix.sh into your shell. All right, cool. So now let's go Nix package. Man, it's been a bit. minute since I used Nix packages. Let's go Nix environment. Let's do a TLDR Nix environment. Oh, I don't have, oh, TDLR. All right, let's go TLDR. Yeah, zipper I like from the syntax point of view. All right, so to install or query a specific term, we could look at Nix environment QA. Let's do wine. Now, if we install wine through Nix, and then we have wine directly loaded on the machine, I think we need to actually specify or locate which version of wine, and then we'll just do the full path name to double check everything. I think that'll be fine. All right. Couple warnings there. That's kind of odd. Let's go Nix environment IA, and let's grab wine 9.10. Really? Maybe it's just wine? Huh. All right, let's do a Nix package server. What's happening with that? I'm kind of curious. I'm genuinely curious to see how wine works on Nix. So, open source implementation of Windows API on top of X, OpenGL, and Unix. So there's a bunch of different wine packages. Just wine. Here we go. Yeah. Here we go. Nix shell. Let's go Nix environment. Oh, I forgot. Such an idiot. There we go. I forgot the Nix OS.wine. Oh, no, that didn't work either. Really? All right, let's click on the NixOS wiki wine. I don't know, man. This does not look like it would be... well, okay. All right. So for 32-bit and 64-bit, you want this. For staging, it's that. So we should be able to just do that first one. Okay. Let's just do an IA and... let's just relaunch maybe. Maybe it's just having an issue with that. Huh. Yeah, weird. Not finding anything. Yeah, see, here's the thing when you have these style of package managers kind of tacked on over your current one. When you have something that is so base like that, I don't know. It's always been a little more convoluted than just installing it directly with the package manager that comes with the system. Just my thought. Maybe this would be easier in the end, but I'm not 100% on that. Just use Jippity. All right, let's see what's going on here. Install wine with Nix env. Let's just have Jippity figure it for us. Okay, copy. I mean, that's what I was doing, right? Oh, okay. Whatever. Jippity was right. Okay, cool. So if we go wine CFG, ooh, let's just do let's go update DB. And then what we're going to do is locate, actually, I think we can just do a which, right? Wine. So you got wine there. It's not what I wanted exactly. So which wine right now is defaulting to the Nix version, but I want to be able to specify wine and launch it directly. Do you know why or how Windows, Arch, and Debian got their names? Windows got its name because Bill Gates stole it from Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs stole it from, Park? A little bit nuance more than that. Debian got its names because the originator and I think his girlfriend or wife was like, his name was Deb, his name was Ian, and then her name was Debbie. So they combined the two to make Debian. So it's Debbie Ian, I think. Yeah, Xerox Park. And then Arch. I have no idea. How did Arch get its name? What's the story there? All right, FZF. FZF. How do you use FZF? FZ. Wow. Let's use Jippity. Use FZF to find all wine binaries in the system. Command pipe FCF, really? Is it that simple? Okay. So if we just go wine pipe FCF, really? Is it that simple? Maybe not. What'll Jippity tell us? Let's do this. Okay. That's going to give me too much. We have a bin right there for one of them. Instead of doing a wildcards, what we're going to do, let's just go tab. Let's just say wine like that. So, all right, there we go. We got user bin wine. All right, cool. So if we go, all right, which wine, this version's going to run that version, but then we have the user bin wine. Probably wine CFG would probably be a better, let's see, wine CFG. Okay, cancel. And then let's try, I think probably Nick's profile bin, and then do wine CFG. Okay. Wine CFG is a 64. It cannot be used on 64-bit. Okay, fine. Wine arc equals win32. Okay, fine. Just go 64 then. Okay. So how's it differentiating 64? All right, whatever. So did the Nix version only install the 32-bit? Oh, it never installed 32-bit. All right. Seems a little excessive to me, but that's okay. For science, I want to just see. Let's just do this. All right, let's see what the time is for launching brand new Wine CFG using Nix. All right, cancel. Real time was 7.5 seconds. Let's remove .wine. And then we're going to go time, user bin, wine CFG. It'll launch and then cancel. 8.1. Okay, so pretty negligible between the two. It's weird that the regular wine's building 64-bit by default and the other one's building 32-bit by default, though. I don't know, man. I just feel like it's jank doing it Nix on a non-Nix system. Don't know why I think that, but I think it, Phoenix. Why? How do I rewire my brain not to think that? How do I change the methodology? Is it worth changing the methodology for that? I don't know the answer to that. I feel like it's just wrong. I feel like this is the proper way to do it. Yeah. It's GPT, Titus, not Jippity. I know, but Jippity sounds better. It's more fun to say. I stole it from, I think it was Theo or somebody else. It was funny. I was like, he's saying that? That's hilarious. I'm going to steal that. Nix uses 32-bit because you use the wine package instead of the WoW wine or whatever. Man, we're getting too lost in the weeds on that. I just feel like that's not... There's so many things that can go wrong packaging wine outside of your default package manager. I just don't see a world where that's gonna be more beneficial than detrimental. Oh, it's a Prime thing. Chat Jippity. Okay, I stole it from Primeagen then. I love it. Regardless, whoever created it, thank you. Wherever I heard that, Primeagen is what chat's saying, so thank you, Prime. That's hilarious. And I'm so stealing it and calling it Jippity from now on. That's true. Debian Ubuntu wine is ancient. Although we could pull in a repository for wine, so it's not ancient. If I'm going to use this script, I prefer it to use the native package manager, not yet another one. Agreed, AH. I think that's probably the most easy way to explain it. Now, when we look back at the wine dependencies, one thing that I was kind of interested in, wine dependencies, I'm surprised when it comes to Debian, it doesn't use like the WineHQ apt sources. Like if we go on WineHQ, here's one thing that I think it gets it wrong. Actually, it's org. If we go into the download, we'll just use Debian. And then we have the repository here. Yeah, this can get a little bit on the squirrely side. So then you have the WineHQ staging branch, you have stable, you have devil. If you use the Nix package better, OpenBSD will get package. True. Nabarra gets wine from source. Man, what about using rum? Yeah, Lutris and bottles both use their own. They containerize wine, so it uses them independently. I agree with that approach. I kind of want something from a CLI perspective. Rum's kind of an interesting project if you've never heard of that. Rum, wine. Of course. What am I thinking? Let's just go. I think I was doing Affinity. I wanted to get Affinity working on Linux, and I was looking at this because Photoshop's really just shit the bed lately with just jumping the shark. As much as Adobe's like, you shouldn't use Adobe products, most people still use Photoshop a bunch. Affinity, I feel like, is the best alternative to Photoshop. And there's a wine fork I thought was interesting. And the building of this was interesting using rum. And if we look at this, 6 years ago was the last commit. That seems pretty old. What about GIMP? GIMP's still good. It's just not nearly as good as like Affinity and content aware filling. And there's a lot of things that GIMP just misses on. Don't get me wrong. I still make all my thumbnails in GIMP, and I'm still an avid GIMP user. It's just not feature parity at all, even close to a Photoshop. Not an inkling close. So that's where it's like, all right, let me find a different tool that is very close to Photoshop. And Affinity fits the bill. GIMP is a step up from Paint. I feel like that's accurate. Using GIMP feels like learning to speak. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I really want to give people a true alternative to Photoshop. Telling people to use GIMP is not it. I don't want to say that. I wish GIMP could fill that gap from a Photoshop user. But after doing this for, I don't know, years and telling people to use GIMP, let's just face facts. A Photoshop user hates GIMP. It is a rough conversion. And nobody that uses Photoshop in any capacity can really switch to GIMP. Unless you're just doing really basic edits, like me. Affinity is a one-time payment of, I think it's $32 right now, or $40. It's great. And I'm telling you, Affinity is like 90-something% of Photoshop. So that's why I'm saying Affinity is what I'm kind of exploring, because I wanted to kind of take all of this guy's write-up for Affinity and then automate it for folks. So it install this special version of Wine and then launch the new version of Affinity in Linux. So then you could use Affinity in Linux without any problem. And it has a Windows version and a Mac version. And then everything's right with the world. It would convert more people off of Adobe. It would give other people options. And that's what I'm all about. If you can use GIMP, use GIMP. If you can't, and you're like, I have to use Photoshop, these people are what we're missing. And what I want to do is shift that away to a non-crazy devilish company like Adobe into something like Affinity. Now, Affinity's not perfect, mind you. It is closed source. It is paid. They just got bought out by Canva, I want to say. But it's a one-time fee, and you own it, and you can run it in everywhere. And it's very close to what you see in Photoshop. So that's my thought process. And PhotoP is also another one as well. But Affinity also ingests PSDs really good too. Photop.com. Yeah, thanks for the link there, Rux. That's another one too. But Affinity Photo was what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, this is amazing. And right now it's 50% off. And you get a lot of stuff. Should we try to install this real fast? Might as well. But it's very, very close to what you see in Photoshop. There's a content aware fill. Not quite as good as the generative fill in Adobe, but then again, it's not submitting all your stuff, all your work to Adobe servers either. I feel like this is where it's at. Let's try to install this real fast, actually. I never even have tried to install it. Let's just give it a whirl. Because I want to show people this. I want you to not use Photoshop ever again. Photoshop is terrible, but it's the market leader. And it does so much. I just don't want people to be slaves to Adobe. I don't want you to pay the mafia every single month for that generative fill feature in Photoshop. Because there's so many people using Photoshop that don't need to be using Photoshop. Now, having said that, let's actually make that a reality. Let's see if we can back up them words real fast. Let's go. Preamble, blah, blah, blah. System will be using rum. Let's do dependencies. Just do a copy paste here. I'm kind of curious. Alrighty. Yeah, it's going to install a few packages. And by a few packages, about 5.2 gigs. I'm sure it's fine. All right. Let's just, geez, what am I installing? Good night. Yerks. It's not actually grabbing wine, so it's already using my version of wine. I do want to try to not use the rum version. I want to see if it runs off of 9.1. That'd be interesting. So we got that. You will need Git, wine tricks, and rum. To get rum, let's just skip this whole section. We want to compile wine. Let's just skip this whole section. Let's set up and build the wine prefixes. I kind of like how he's doing wine over here. That's kind of cool. We're going to also skip that. We're not going to link that. Yeah, we're going to skip all that too. We need to build the wine prefix, home, wine affinity. You know what? Let's just do that. We can do a wine boot. All right. So what I'm doing right now is I don't anticipate this working because someone's made specific versions of wine to work with Affinity, but I want to see the latest versions, specifically 9.10, how wine would try to approach utilizing Affinity without any customizations. And then I'll work backwards in the script just to see how well it works. Like rum's a 6-year-old project. This other one's based on 8.14, which is several years old at this point on a version of wine. Nothing wrong with old as long as it works. I just want to see if the latest and greatest works or not. Not all updates are good updates, but sometimes they are. Oh, the I love candy. It makes Pac-Man more beautiful. Oh, I need to do that. I did that before. There's actually, I think you can actually add that into, what is it, pacman.conf to make it nice as well. How were you able to get fast fetch configured the way it looks in Kitty? May I borrow it? Yeah. I think it's actually on the, hadn't I done that before? Let's just grab it real fast. Why we're building the system up. Did Kitty not launch? Oh, Kitty's not working. I think I have to wait for that to finish. That's weird. Do we have another terminal? Let's just do console. Let's go CD fast fetch. So here's my conf. Let's go HB config. There we go. There's the configuration that I'm using for fast fetch. It's grabbing like my logo full.png in here, but basically this is just dropping this JSON C file into .config/fast fetch. So you need to add or make the directory fast fetch if it's not already there, and then you can change it and modify how you ever want. This configuration was not made by me. It's just a slight modification from Tech Zero. Shout out to him. That's where I stole it from. So, all right, we got that going. And what else do we got? So we got those dependencies in. Let's make this Affinity boot. Nothing's launching. Let's give our system a little bit of a kick real fast. I'm going to reboot. Shoot. Let's just launch console and type reboot. I remind myself to do a reboot command. I heard my name. People were just talking about your fast fetch config that I stole from you. I linked it up in chat. Yeah, we could also try GE Proton. I'm kind of curious to see how Affinity works. Application compatibility compared to gaming compatibility is a little bit different in wine, but how different? I don't know. It depends on the application. What does that mean? Monotonic. White is just a lot monotonic. Huh. Never heard that terminology before. To Google what the hell that means. Oh, boring. Well, cool. I'm going to start saying, well, that's just monotonic. Probably saying it wrong too. Lack of variance. Mathematics, a function on quantity varying in such a way it either never decreases, never decreases. Okay. How you're converting your toolbook to more Rust or Rust menu. Oh, awesome. Good to hear, Tech Zero. But if anyone has anything to say, okay. So now what I wanted to do is pull this in and we're going to test it out. Can we just restore? Ah, well, there it goes. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a wine boot. Gotta modify this command a little bit. It's using rum, but what we're going to do is just do the stock wine. So stock wine, you can specify the variable like this. And we're going to specify the prefix to that. Wine boot in it. Now, does it use any special prefix? I don't think so. I think we're fine. So we're going to create the official prefix under .wine affinity. Now, I kind of like my wine bottles in their own directory. Nah, I guess it's fine. This is fine. Let's not overcomplicate it. So we're going to create this prefix, and then we're going to create the dependencies that that prefix needs. Oh, gotta love the console spam you get from that every once in a while. All right, so now we get that. Now, let's come on back to here. We're going to use wine tricks, grab all of this. This is what makes all the magic happen. All right, 1 second. I drank too much water. I'm going to use the restroom while this builds up, and I shall return shortly. All right, I have returned. Is it finished? Ah, crap. It got stuck on a prompt. Of course it did. Stupid .NET. Yeah, okay. That figures. I just installed Fedora into my main PC. I'm a bioinformationician. What the hell's a bioinformationician? I should have graduated college. I'm such a simpleton. Anyways, who loves gaming? And I think this Steam... Oh, this stream just arrived in just time. Good to hear. Good to hear. Yeah, hopefully we get something usable from this. I really just kind of wanted to do it and try utilizing Affinity. Flashbang. Sorry, guys. Woo! I'm blind. Can you explain .NET framework? Reason for its existence, versioning, skadoodles? I cannot. I just know it's a dependency for many applications to work properly. Past that, developers ask me for .NET and that type of thing, or they usually curse about .NET and go, oh, this sucks. But it's okay. The only time I've used .NET in programming, very rudimentary, is I think on my C# program when I was trying to make system modifications in Windows. .NET allows me easy calls to do Windows-esque things, such as stripping out tasks from the task scheduler built into Windows, or modifying registry entries. I would use a lot of .NET stuff for a lot of Windows-esque things. So that's really what I've used .NET for in programming. However, to break down its entire, that's beyond my skill set. I don't like .NET. I try not to use it when obviously if I'm not in Windows, I'm not using .NET. But sometimes it's just like a necessary evil. So I want to break down this command real fast for folks so they understand what the hell just happened. So, well, actually, that wasn't even the command. Come on. Here's the command. So what this is doing, and how Proton, Wine, a lot of things, the compatibility layer to make Windows programs run on Linux, almost everything's based on Wine. If it's Proton, it's still Wine. There's just a little bit of a Steam magic happening in the front end to make it look good. This is a system variable called wine prefix. This tells you the working directory of Wine. So every new program you make in Wine, should use a different prefix. You may be like, so wine bottles and different wine directories, that's the same thing. Yes, it is. And you specify it through this variable and say, hey, in my home folder, I want to make a .wine affinity and camel case. Thinking back on that, it's kind of a bad directory name, but whatever. It could be called anything. It could be called poo. Doesn't matter. That's the directory that makes a new wine bottle, and all the wine goodness is stored there. So you can specify the prefix, and then you can specify what you want to do. You could do wine space and then the executable, and it'll run that executable using wine inside this prefix. Now in this instance, we're doing something called wine tricks. We're using this prefix. Wine tricks is adding dependencies. So think of this almost like a new Windows folder, right? A fresh Windows install. If you want to install something in Windows, specifically Affinity Photo, like we're trying to do right now, well, it would need .NET 4.8 and some older versions of .NET, which Wine Tricks is able to install. It's also going to need core fonts. Core fonts are the fonts for all of Windows. For many programs to work, you need core fonts. And then finally, you're going to need some libraries for Visual C++. And this grabs 2015, and some older ones too are actually in this one that installs Visual C++. So now you'll have basically all these in this folder, almost like a fresh Windows install, and then we could try and run the executable, which is good. It's nice. So that's why how we use wine and kind of my thought process behind it. So now we should be able to just kind of go wine, and this is where we could kind of do like a setup. Now, first, we're going to actually do a wine CFG version Win 11. So what we're doing here is, I think by default, if you don't do anything, wine CFG is set up as Windows 11. If let's say you don't know and you're like, hey, what is it? You can actually just type wine CFG like this. You can see it's, hey, it's Windows 11. You can just hit apply. Okay. Now it's set up as Windows. Damn it. What? Why is this not working? I think I might have to uninstall that ATUIN. I think it kind of sucks. I'm just a simpleton. You just give me too many programs. I'm like, dude, it's just too much. It's just too much. For some odd reason, it's just not grabbing enough. Anyways, let's launch it. So now it's set to Windows 11. Now that's the same thing as typing this command into your prompt. This also would set it up as Windows 11. So that's kind of nice. So yeah. All right. Deeply, thanks for the prime. Deeply cynical. Yeah, it's just not my jam, Phoenix. I gotta say, I having the up to do the history is fine, but what's happening is I run into like little bugs here and there where I have to quit out, relaunch, and then it shows my last command. A lot of times I just am not gonna look up for the other command. More often than not, I just want my last command or my last 2 or 3 commands, and it's easier to just go up, just standard bash. Anywho, slight gripe. So now we need to grab win metadata to grab some stuff that Affinity uses. Now this is kind of weird. Look at this. We're gonna actually have to pop into Windows. So in Windows, there's this weird metadata directory. What is this? Now I've never seen this before, and I've never seen any other application reference it. It's under System32, which makes it very interesting. Try the Yazzie command. All right. I'll have to check that out. But let's first try this metadata. Win metadata. And then there's all this. Weird. Okay. Yeah. Under System32, there's this win metadata folder. It's only like 7 megs. A couple files. Cool. Let's just toss that. Oh, where do I want to put that? Probably, let's see. Let's go in my main pool. We're going to just toss that in like backups or something. All right, so we got our win metadata right there. All right, get out of Windows. So if you don't have Windows, I think I could probably host that. I don't think there's any metadata that I care about in my win metadata folder. So I might actually share that out with the project I end up creating for this, if this does indeed work. Let's try that. So let's come into our main pool. grab that Win metadata. And we're just going to copy all this. And let's just open up a new tab and come into Wine Affinity. System, I bet you under Windows, System 32. And then, oh, it uses the whole folder. Let's see. It does. Okay. So be it. Let's come back into here. Let's go up one. We're just going to copy the whole folder. Toss that into here. So now we have our Win metadata folder in our wine bottle that apparently this needs. And now we're going to try and run the executable. Now this is the stock version of wine. I do anticipate this to fail, but I do want to just try Affinity Photo setup on stock 9.10 wine with just the defaults in, set as Windows 11, and this Win metadata folder that apparently it needs. So let's go. I did a video on it on my main channel over on YouTube. But yeah, the whole switching between windows, this is just a virtual machine I have running all the time. You can always kind of tell I have it running because if you look up at the top right here, it's always like 20 gigs. I have 64 gigs of RAM, you know, slight flex. Look at all my memory. But I'm always having 20 gigs just kind of chunked up with Windows and other crap running in the background. All right, let's do this. So I want to kind of launch probably from within here. I'm going to drop the actual setup files for this. Those setup files are actually right here. Look at that. I already copied them. Look at me, ahead of the game. So we're just going to paste those guys in. It's actually Affinity Photos only, I want to say 600 megs. Yeah, 672 megs. Take that, Photoshop. Photoshop sucks. Photoshop's for suckers. Now let's see if we can get Affinity Photo working on this, because getting Photoshop to work on Linux is, needless to say, not fun. Now for the actual running. Okay, the installer doesn't really matter where you run it. I didn't figure, but all right. So now we have these folders right here. So now we're gonna go wine prefix. Oh shoot. Wine prefix, wine affinity, wine, and then we go affinity photo. So what this command's doing, specifying the prefix, using wine, and then launching our executable. Now, we'll see if this actually fails. And it did. I figured it would. Failed to start. It looks like Microsoft.NET is turned off on this computer. Okay. That's probably not gonna work. Yeah, crash. Well, you know, let's try real fast. I think, let's go wine tricks. We'll go wine prefix equals, we'll just go from our current one, wine CFG, wine tricks. I got an idea. Oops, we need an equal sign there. What? Your version of wine is no longer supported. You should upgrade to 8.x. Oh, it needs to be an absolute path. Let's just do $PWD. Oh, no, didn't grab it. Oops. No quotes. Okay, here we go. Let's go install an application. Man, I gotta fix my theming. And then we should have like .NET, right? Where's .NET? Just 2.0, huh? Yeah, .NET 3.5 might get us there. Probably not, huh? I mean, I thought it was worth a shot. Let's try component maybe. Yeah, that's where it's at. All right, let's go .NET. You always want to error on the side of caution and go above to like the latest service pack. So if it's calling for .NET 3.5, you install just .NET 3.5 SP1. If it's calling for .NET 4.7, go with 4.72. It's going to backdate and grab all those other updates. All right, so, okay. Let's see what this does for us. I always find it funny. Wine installs .NET faster than... Oh, it's that damn Nix. It's messing with us. Oh, okay. All right, let's remove our Nix stuff. Ah, damn it. All right, that also could throw a wrench in things. Damn it, I knew I shouldn't have done that. Not QA. Let's just go Q. Oh, I need the nixnv. Remove. It's -E. All right. Okay, maybe should just be wine for the removal process, right? E. Did I get the wrong prefix? Probably. I'm gonna just uninstall this version of wine on Nix just to remove that variable that could toss a wrench in things. What is wrong with this syntax? You know what? I think let's just NixOS package manager explain. All right, usage. What was I doing for that? Erase is why it's called E. Yeah, the Q actually should get us there. So if you look, QA searches available packages. If you just do Q, it just does the installed packages. So just to showcase this, so nix-environment-q, that's what's installed. But you don't even need to do the installed command. Just a -q will grab the installed. Yeah, we can just try it without it. Yeah, Nix flakes work for sure. If I had a better understanding how they work, I would make a video about it. All right, let's see. Why? Let's go. Heck, let's just ask old Jippity. I just wanted to remove this so when I do which, it's not referencing. So which wine, you can see it's referencing the Nix profile bin wine, which I don't want. So I want to uninstall that so it defaults back to the one we installed with our package manager. That's not gonna be. That's gonna be in a long stream. Let's come on over here. Uninstall wine in NixOS. No. Cancel. New. Uninstall Nix wine in Nix env. That's what I thought, right? This says just Nix env-e wine. Really? Okay, that did it. So now we go which wine, we should USR bin. All right, great. I just wanted to make sure we have that. And now let's also just echo pwd. If you go pwd, okay. So if we go wine prefix equals, and we should just be able to go pwd, something like that. And then we go wine tricks .NET 3.5 SP1. And I want to say that should grab that. That might not be the short name. Okay, that is the short name. And now we're going to just run it directly from this version of it. Flashbang, sorry guys. Yeah, old Jippity's been on the nose today. Hadn't hallucinated once yet. When will DW... Well, the DWM's there. You can actually use it right now with DWL. Very close. They have a lot of patches over there too. So the DWL team's done a great job bringing DWM to Wayland. The official suckless devs are, I don't think, using that or have any intention of going to Wayland just yet. They probably will though. Sometime in the future. Okay. Probably okay. I did spring for the $20 a month for Cursor. I use it enough to where I was like, this is kind of nice, actually. I think I'll just keep doing this. I love Thunar. That's like one of my favorites. You know, I used to be a huge fan of... Okay, we got to get rid of ATUIN. Oh, good night. It is driving me crazy. All right, nice. All right, I was like, it's causing me more key presses than if I just didn't have it. So I'm like, no, let's kick it to the curb. Now, if we come back into our wine executable that we did earlier, and as I say that, I'm like backing through all of it. All right, now let's try to do the installer. Let's see what this does. Does this crash still? Probably. I feel like it already kicked us back to prompt. Yeah, it did. Tried to start service, wasn't there. All right, so it does absolutely need the custom wine version from Elemental Warrior. So we tried to skip over that. You know, I thought, hey, it's worth a shot. Let's just try this. So we're going to do that. We're going to clone Elemental Warriors Rum into... weird. Yeah, let's just clone it. I don't like where he's putting that. If it's a single binary, why are you cloning the whole... Oh. But you have to compile it first. Why is he copying that? Huh. That's interesting. Oh, okay. So the rum that he's grabbing, he's just grabbing the binary. Why not just copy it directly into the bin? If you're going to go, like, why even bother with the clone? Hasn't been updated in 6 years. I feel like that's just okay. So what I'm thinking to make this more simple should be able to just copy link address from raw, come over to here, go into USR bin, right? If you do like a pwd, you can see we're in this folder. Just sudo wget and then just drop the binary directly into here. Well, let's go sudo move rum to rum. Okay, so now we have a proper folder with, well, let's just do grep rum. Okay, so we have rum there, but probably need to ch mod that as well. Cho mod. All right. She always calls me during my live stream. It's like if everything, she just like detects I'm online, I'm gonna call you. I swear. Drives me crazy. All right, here we go. Let's go. What? I'm gonna interrupt the stream. Let me call him. Well, at least she doesn't call back. All right. Watch it calling ring again. Now, let's come back over to here. And we're going through here. So we got our rum. It's in USR bin. We could honestly toss this into like home local bin. Would have been fine too. It doesn't really matter. As long as it's somewhere that you can get to. Next, we're going to clone our Elemental Warrior wine. Let's clone this guy. I'm going to go into like a build directory. I personally like to have just a build directory sitting here. So any projects that aren't mine, I like to toss directly into a build directory, knowing, hey, that's just somebody else's project I'm just building. And look at that. As soon as I said it, I get called twice. That's hilarious. All right, you're going off. Let's go here now. What else do we have? We'll just let this clone. Wine's usually a pretty big project to clone as well. Yeah, she likes nerdy stuff, not necessarily Linux or operating systems. She's not much of a computer gal, but other nerdy things for sure. You could do a git clone depth 1. Let's do that because this is going to take forever. I think I can just go, let's come back to depth 1 dash depth equals 1. All right, that should speed it up. Thank you, just a little chooser. Let's see how long the depth 1 takes. Should be quite a bit faster. Yeah, look at that. Much better. Okay, so we have that cloned. Now we're going to switch to the branch Affinity. Although if you switch and I did a depth of 1, does that work? Yeah, that's why. Shouldn't you just like do a git clone of the branch at that point? Oh, well, let's come into the branch first. Then do a switch. Yeah, no reference point. So really what this should be is, all right, this is the problem with instructions online for Linux. A lot of people just don't understand like a certain component, whether it's Git, whether it's Linux, whether it's Wine. There's a lot of different things to know. So on this one, let's come back into our git clone. And instead of depth equals 1, let's try and specify the branch. Just fetch branch name. So, oh, I just removed it. Yeah. Okay. So this one should be, oops, git clone. And then we're going to go depth equals 1. Thanks for holding my hand here. B And then we do the Affinity photo branch wine like this space. So this will copy that specific branch with a depth of 1, meaning not every single commit or revision, just give me the latest, and then DOS it into this folder. So that takes care of like a couple different commands. So like all of that can get condensed into here, and it's going to clone a lot faster with a depth of 1. So this, I'm going to remember that because that is nice. Okay, so now we have that. Let's make the directories inside the thing. We didn't actually have a CD in there. Huh, okay. So probably a CD, Elemental Warrior Wine, and then we make the build directories and CD into the build, and then we do the config. CD into wine wow config build. Then we do our configure. Make sure all our dependencies are there. If you see any red no's, that means you done messed up and missing the dependency somewhere. But I think it's going to go off without a hitch. And then we're going to do a make. What's the dash jobs? Tells the number of jobs commands to run simultaneously. Well, actually, if you don't do dash jobs, it should just use your current one. So we're not going to do jobs 4 because that's only 4 threads. I want to say it should just read what we have. So just a make. It only uses 1. I want to say, check this out. And correct me if I'm wrong here, just Linux user. But if you echo make packages, no. I think I want to say it's, you can set the defaults for your make command under vim etc make package .conf. And then if you look under here, you can look at J, dash J? Oh shoot, I can't remember what to search for. Right here, make flags. Yeah, so make flags dash J30. So every time you run make, it's gonna do it with 30 threads. So the dash J automatically gets appended to all make commands if you modify the make package.conf file. So you shouldn't need to do make dash J or dash jobs to utilize it by doing this. Now, is that correct? Should be. No, make package.conf is what make reads before running after every command, and these should be the defaults that get utilized. That's only for make package, not for make. Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Appreciate you rectifying my misunderstanding. So let's go make package. Make J30. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll use 30 threads on this one. Shouldn't take very long with a Xeon processor. This is one thing that if you're on like a slow PC and you're trying to rebuild wine, this is a rather large program. So it will mess up quite often, just so you know. Or it'll take a very long time to compile on a slow system. Do you want to build wine with WoW 64 support? I'm not quite sure. Let's look at our instructions here. So he's doing make with 4 jobs. We're doing 30. And then we're just going to do a make install afterwards to install it to the wine install folder. I feel like there should be something else on there to install it to wine install. But, oh, when we do the configuration, this is how it is. So no, there's no sudo command or anything because it's just dropping it into wine install. That's kind of because during the configuration, we specified the prefix to here. Now, I kind of screwed this up because the prefix is wrong. I got to change that. Oopsies. Should I cancel this and then redo the configuration? Yeah. All right, let's cancel. Let's cancel. When I was doing the config here on the prefix, I did it incorrectly. This actually should be home build and Elemental Warrior wine install. And then it's doing 32-bit and 64-bit on the architecture. So let's do the configuration again. And then we'll go back and do the make J30. We'll do a make clean and then do the make. Yeah. Or should I do make clean before doing the configuration? Okay. Make J30. Should be fine. So now it's going to put it in the proper folder. Okay. Thank you for the correction there, chat. I am ignorant when it comes to gaming optimization in Linux. Can anyone recommend me documentation or a video for this? I'm using Fedora with the 6800 XT GPU. So far, what I know is sudo DNF update gets me everything for my AMD drivers. Yeah, there's no AMD drivers. Everything's built in for stock. Install Wine Tricks, Steam, Lutris, Mango HUD to track hardware stats. Apart from consulting ProtonDB, is there any other kind of tweak that I do to make this better? I'm specifically lost with tweaking my GPU fan behavior. Isn't it LACT, chat, for specifying GPU fan behavior? Isn't that the tool? Yeah, LACT is a good tool for that. Yeah. It's just finding new tools and stuff like that. That's the big thing that I think many people get lost on with Linux. They just expect, hey, there should be an official tool like this because that's how it works in Windows. And it works a little bit different. Chances are you can do exactly what you want to do. It just is done differently on Linux than it is on Windows. And learning that new way of doing things can be difficult to find the information, or you get old information and it's changed since then. But, you know, it's just part of the learning experience. But yeah, I've used LACT before and it works pretty good. Do you know any website for downloading any legit version of Windows 11 or 10? Yeah, just go Microsoft.com / what is it? Windows download. I want to say that's where I always grab the ISOs, and then I just strip out the ISOs using like MicroWin, or you can even use an NT Lite. So just download Windows. Bam. So you got Windows 10 ISO. You probably don't want that though. You probably want like Windows 11 ISO. You'd think that they'd follow the same format, but Microsoft logic again. It actually is. It's actually software-download Windows 11 download now. Okay, yeah. Oh, look at that. Downloads assistant.exe. Or you could just download the ISO here. Okay, yeah. So then you can just download this, specify the information, product language, download the ISO, customize window that way. Never, ever, ever, ever download a Windows ISO from a non-Microsoft.com website. Just always get it directly from the horse's mouth and then modify it after. I can't emphasize that enough. I've seen so many viruses, so many backdoors, so many botnets, and all kinds of different shenanigans that has happened with custom Windows ISOs. You should never, there's no reason to ever use a non-Microsoft ISO that you acquire from anywhere but Microsoft, unless you're just plain lazy and you don't care about getting a virus. In your opinion, debloated Windows 11 or 10? I really like a debloated version of Windows 10. Specifically, like my favorite version of debloat of Windows 10 was probably 1703. That was amazing. Or even 1709, I think it was. That build of Windows with Windows 10 was, in my opinion, the last really good build of Windows. I loved that version. You might be thinking, well, why aren't you running it today if you loved it so much? Compatibility, you know, as time has gone on, like an earlier version of Windows 10 just doesn't have the compatibility standards for modern software as a newer version of like Windows 11 does. Everything is built with the new modern builds of Windows 10 and 11 for that matter. I wish it was different. Don't get me wrong, you know. Hell, I wish I could still be using Windows XP. That would be fine too. But even though you probably could use old versions of Windows, heck, there's people that use Windows 7, which are crazy people. It's just not worth it. Simply not worth it. If they still updated Windows 7, Linux would be obsolete. Well, you and I have a very, very big difference of opinion there, Tiber. The big problem with Windows 7, and even Windows XP towards the end there, Windows XP less so than 7. 7 really stopped becoming good in 2015. 2015 and up, Windows 7 kind of sucked. Let me refresh your memory on Windows 7. And you might, I know what you're going to say next, but I got a rebuttal for that too. But Windows 7 was absolutely atrocious in 2017, 2018, 2019, and onward. Let me explain. Whenever you installed Windows 7 and you did all your updates like a good boy, the stock install would be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 30 to 40 gigs. You cannot sit there and tell me Windows 7 was okay with that many patches, that many hot fixes and crap bloated up on it. And I know you can slipstream, you can do a lot of things to bring that install size down on Windows 7. A lot of modifications could be made. But at the end of the day, Windows 7 in that era was crap. And it was extremely unsecure. Still is to those crazy people running Windows 7 today. That's, believe it or not, I've gotten the emails. There's people that run Windows 7 in 2024. God rest their soul. But could not imagine. But the reason being is the NSA tools got leaked in 2017. And when those NSA tools got leaked, if you're unfamiliar, let me give you a little history lesson. They had many backdoors into Windows. And I'm not talking like, oh, this is kind of a bad exploit. I'm talking full system access remotely if you connected it to the internet bad. Incredibly dangerous. And you saw a massive amount of spinoffs, whether it's WannaCry and other ransomware attacks, all from this, I think it was like Blue Ocean exploit. I can't remember the actual CVE offhand, but it was incredibly bad and incredibly hard to secure down. Even when you patched it all, it still was a complete nightmare. Windows 7 was awful, and that was the death of Windows 7. It didn't happen in 2020 when Microsoft made it EOL. It happened in 2017. Yeah, Eternal Blue, thank you. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. So even the people out there are like, hey, Windows 7's the best. I'm like, hey, when it released in 2010 and probably about a year after, I'd say its golden years was like 2011 to about 2014. That was like the golden years of Windows 11 when it was really good and it was solid, and really there was no reason to use anything else because it was actually a pretty good operating system in that time period. But as it aged very poorly. Anyways, I don't know. I saw that comment. I was like, no. I'm gonna disagree with you right there. I've got to chime in on that. All right, let's do a make install. I was like, whoa. Let's not jump the shark here. That's crazy talk. That's just crazy talk. Windows 7 was still around now. Well, actually, if I could interject for just a moment here, this is such a Linux user thing to do. Windows Server 2008 R2 is better gaming than Windows 7. Yeah, I agree with that, Z80. I loved me Windows Server R2. 2008 R2 Windows Server was, it was the chef's kiss of operating systems. Still probably my favorite operating system of all time was that. I loved it to death. And I'm not just saying it because that's where most of my certifications were. I had an MCITP Enterprise Administrator. Actually, I think I did that for Vista. That was actually 2008, not R2, but whatever. Old school. You're still using it. Oh, Z80. No, man. You crazy guy. No. God bless your soul. I see why. I loved that. No. Nobody should use that in 2024. Absolutely not. Alrighty. Wine install. Let's see what we got. What did this install? So let's look at our bin. So we got all this now. Nice. So let's set up our folder. I'm okay doing it through OPT wines. That's fine. And then let's copy wine install to wine's elemental warrior. Copy. Actually, let's come back. Okay. Let's go wine install to, don't really need the quotes since there's no spaces. Let's just copy recursive wine install to OPT wines, permission denied. I should have done that as super user. I have tried Helldivers. It is actually working great on NVIDIA, believe it or not. I didn't do anything other than just do that. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. So we're going to link this guy next. Sudo link. That's fine. And then finally, let's run this guy. Now, first off, before we go crazy, let's come back into here. I think I still have... Oh, geez. Did I delete that folder? Nah, I didn't. All right, let's remove .wine affinity as well. I'm going to just trash all my existing wine bottles. And now we've done it. All right, we've linked it. We're good. Let's boot it with rum. Wine prefix, do you want to create it? Yes. All right, install. Nice. Okay, great. So now we've gotten that. Now we grab our dependencies. Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I've never used rum before. It's actually a new project. Well, new for me, I should say. It's like a really, blind. It's a really old project, actually. Let's accept those terms. It hasn't been updated in like 5 or 6 years, but it's basically a CLI version of like wine bottles, essentially. Did you pass through the AMD card to Windows now? No, I actually ended up pulling the AMD card and putting it on a Windows machine inside. I could have flip-flopped them, but I wanted this system to have a really powerful card on my Linux. And I didn't want my Linux to have like a gimped GPU. Because most times especially if I'm out here, I'm in Linux. If I'm pulling up Windows, it's usually just to check on WinUtil. So even though most people that run PCI pass-through in Linux just do it for like gaming, most times it's more for development work for me. I don't know, I just prefer it that way. So I want my Linux to have the powerful GPU because honestly, most of my gaming, most of my work, load, everything's kind of done in Linux. So that's where I want all my power. But it's, yeah, my Windows on this one's more of a novelty. Yeah, I can totally use it in its full capacity. It's just most things I do these days, when I can avoid Windows, I do. What do you host your website on? Cloudflare pages. So Cloudflare's pretty decent. It's free. The problem I had with I'd used Netlify before Cloudflare, but I ended up getting way too much traffic back when I was a lot smaller and not very many people knew who I was or anything. I didn't get that much traffic to my website. You know, usually maybe 50, 100 megs here and there, but then it kind of blew up and then I had a lot more traffic coming to my website. Now I get over 1 terabyte of traffic every month. And if I was still on Netlify, that would equate to like $1,000 something a month. It's insane how the scaling works over on Netlify. It doesn't scale for crap. It's just really, really expensive. So I moved to Cloudflare Pages because they basically give it to you for free. And I was like, free, unlimited bandwidth, unlimited everything. Okay. So that's when I moved my website over to Cloudflare Pages. Everything's still a static site. So there's no like lamp stack or any of that crap. You know, that's the thing of the past. I hate managing databases or anything like that for a website. What's the fastest CPU you used? It's probably not like in person or through a VPS. So I've used some kind of crazy things through VPSs before. Specifically, I had a sponsor back when I started where I was kind of like more in the home lab scene before like the Linux content really took off. I was getting a lot of sponsorships through some and one company called CDN77. I don't know who their parent company was, but let's just say they have some really big ties to some crazy hardware. And they gave me full run of a bare metal machine that had, I think it was like 100 gig connection to the internet, and the CPU was just stupid. And it was glorious. Like I downloaded Arch in like a fraction of a second. Because it cached so much of the internet. That content delivery network was insane, and having like a bare metal server on the backbone was crazy. I want to say it was like an Epic 128 core system or something like that. I mean, honestly, I barely use the potential of this 32 core Xeon I have in my house. So this is quite a bit of overkill. Except, you know, when we did the compile of Wine, it sure is nice that that was done in like a couple minutes instead of like 30 minutes like most residential systems probably would have done. Yeah, so like this specific system's super workstation. But it's a Xeon W5 3435 32 thread 16 core. So you know, not a crazy Xeon processor, but noise concerns here in the studio is a major factor. So this is about as powerful as I can get without having heat concerns and noise concerns, because I want to make sure I don't have a huge ramp up in fans. So anything over 16 cores, especially in like the server CPU space, you're gonna usually have some severe power usage and noise concerns and heat and other things. There's just so many concerns there that I was like, this is plenty. This is actually more than plenty. All right, we've done that. We've gotten that guy. We've got our wine tricks built. Let's go ahead and change it to Win 11 now. Change that. So we're on Win 11. And then finally, oh no, we got to do our Win metadata now. Actually, let's just take this. Oh, no, we already copied it. We don't need it. Let's just grab it from our main pool. I think I put it on my backups. So we're going to just take Win metadata, copy that, and we're going to come into our wine bottle, wine affinity, system 32 under Windows, paste it into here. Perfect. So we've got that done. Copied that over, and now we'll run the installer. So if everything works right here, we should have Affinity running in Linux. What do we think here? What do we think here? Oh, I forgot to copy that too. Oopsies. What do we have? Let's go backups again. Yeah, there it is. And then just wine affinity. We'll just drop it here. Perfect. Okay, so now we got that. We should be able to go wine prefix. Actually, no, we can just do the rum command now. Yeah. So we can just rum that. All right, rum wine and affinity photo MSI. Here we go. Moment of truth. Does this guide work? Oh, that's looking good. Here we go. Photoshop. Eat your heart out. The latest and greatest version of Affinity Photo 2, which is a hell of a lot better than any Photoshop you can run on Linux, is about to work. It's about to happen. So now we just rum this photo. All right, swallow up my window, kick me to Affinity. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Nice. All right. Floating window. Let's just go full screen with it. Nice. Look at that. Oh, snap. You got PSD support. We can make canvases. We can do all the things. Let's see, how's this working? Let's go into here. Still a little bit tweak-tastic because of the wine bottle with some of this, but that's okay. Still's working, I believe. Let's go into like video production. Let's try and favorite some stuff and let's see what this looks like. Where did I put that? I think actually I put it back in my media folder. Let's come back into media. Oh, I want to say I put it in drive. Video production. Can I make that like a create link? Favorites. Okay, so there is a favorites folder there. So let's try this one more time. Let's go media and drive. And then for video production, I'm going to try and drag that up here. Let's see what this does. Can I do favorites or make it a favorite? Yeah, a little limited there. So that didn't work. That's okay. Let's just open up. I wonder if it opens up a GIMP file. No, it does not. It does not support GIMP files. I wonder. I mean, most people don't care about that, but I mean, all my old stuff's in GIMP, so it's like, let's see. Let's just pull in something. Okay, what does this look like? Oh, oh. All right, Linux problems. Oh, okay, there we go. A little bit of artifacting. It's fine. It's fine. The copium's real over here. So let's just change stuff. Gotta love my GIMP outline here. I don't really know how to... Okay, that does work there, but let's come over here. Let's try and do like a paintbrush. Okay, that works. Let's try and do like a mask. Got some flickering, but that's okay. So let's just mask this and say blah. Okay. So I can erase that and then show the mask, not show the mask. Now, damn it. Let's just delete. Okay. Not great. Usable, maybe. Questionable. I want like a Photoshop alternative in Linux. Yeah. Photo P is still probably better than this, though. It's too jank. Too janky. If I could figure out what if... So, like, when I'm doing this and hiding things, like when I do... Let's try it again. Okay. So then you have it, and then it kind of disappears. You see the flickering? What if we change the renderer? Right now, I think it's using OpenGL. Let's try to do Vulkan and see what that looks like. So... We've got an idea, but let's change that. I think tips and fixes should fix it. So here's how to kill it properly, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. Desktop, fix flickering. Let's change this to Vulkan. I want to say by default it goes to GL. So what we're going to do here is take this. Let's change... Error, path to wine version doesn't exist. Wine version's available. Oh, oops. What? It does no bracket dash version. All right, pay attention, Chris. All right, changing the renderer to Vulkan from GL. Let's try to relaunch now. So now we're gonna run it again. We could create a desktop shortcut too. I just kind of want to see how this works first. Okay. Let's go Photo Basics. Let's download that. Open that guy up. I think it crashed. One more time. Yeah, I think that's the big thing. I still think Affinity is an amazing product. Like, you own it, you pay one time, and you own it. I will support any product that does that. It didn't work again. Okay, well, let's try this. Actually, let's just do... Let's try that. Let's do a Proton restart as well. Just kill anything running in the background. And then I'm not done trying that. Let's first just load up that file again and just see what that looks like. Could be something like pulling in a cloud-based file, because that was just a tutorial. Crash. All right, well, the renderer, not the way to go. All right, let's change that back to GL. Well, poop. Rearranging panels allowed. Due to X Wayland, I think a lot of this was built with Wayland. Maybe it will work better with Wayland. Possible. We could also emulate a virtual desktop and set the desktop size possibly using Wine. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is kind of like how it is with the old versions of Photoshop you could own a full version of. And then bringing that in, emulating in Wine, feels a bit better than that, but not by much. It's still, when you have like these big photo programs with a bunch of different layering and masks and things like that, Wine just cannot emulate it very well. At the end of the day, I think I would just use Windows. Yeah, it feels similar, graphical issues, little things like that. And I just, when I'm doing stuff, I just want as little friction as possible. So when I see something like that, I would much rather just be over here, pull this up. Let's just install it over here just to show the other way. Let's just go photo. It did launch. Yeah, it's not an emulator. It's a compatibility layer. I'm sorry. Feels like an emulator. Triggering the Wine folks out there. You and your back acronyms. No one ever thought a back acronym was cool. I feel like programs generally don't work great in Wine, even simple ones sometimes. I agree with that. Wine is not an emulation. It is cool. Wine is pretty mid. Well, I mean, the thing is, most of our gaming through Steam is wine. So wine in some instances is truly amazing. But when it comes to photo edits and photo editors in wine, I have never seen it work all that well. I've seen it work, but never very great. Like, it never feels great. Same with Office. Like Microsoft Office and Wine, I can get it working. It'll load. I can edit docs, but it feels janky. Real jank. So it's nothing I would ever tell a new user, hey, yeah, you can use Photoshop. You can use Affinity. You can use Office. I always would just be like, nah, you got to use something different. All right. Affinity Photo 2. Let's try it. All right. Let's see. I'm going to try and... You know, it never did have a sign on when I was doing that. It's kind of odd. 1 second. I got to sign in using my thing. Now, Affinity, you might be thinking, what's Affinity's license plan, Titus? I want to know that before I go crazy with this thing. You can install it on as many computers as you want. That's their license. Now, I don't know about using them concurrently, but I've installed Affinity on like 5 different systems so far, and it hasn't given me any fits yet. All of the systems I own, so nobody's using it at the same time as me, but Affinity Photo so far has been amazing. Now, having said that, doing this live on stream, you know, there's always the element of the stream that does it. All right, I'm still trying to activate. 1 second. Yes, please link my app to my account. Sure. And accept. Should we read their EULA? All right, here we go. We're back. I had to do my sign in and everything looks good. I'm just looking for anything like, hey, we're going to grab all the documents on your computer and use it for AI training. We can log in at any time and let us know. We're going to look on you and see if you're doing anything illegal, like Adobe. You know, you used to just be able to click OK and accept, but these days, you got to watch what they put in here. I don't see anything like, hey, we're going to download all your crap and use it for whatever we want. We're not going to turn you over to the police if you pull up something we deem illegal, depending on the country you're in. What else do we have in here? Oh, yes. There we go. All right. I do wonder with Adobe, what happens when other countries, specifically ones with really strict laws over like nudity and things like that, what happens when it's illegal in that country and they figure out that Adobe's collecting everybody's information and can look to see what people have on their computers? What's stopping those governments from going to Adobe and saying, we want what this person has? And what's to keep Adobe from handing that over? I think that's probably a question no one's really raised yet. There's a lot of problems with Big Brother Adobe looking at all your stuff, whether or not it's illegal or legal, and then permitting or not permitting it. I don't see anything like that with Serif or Affinity, though. All right. Do we want to do it in Linux to help improve it? Yeah. All right. Here we go. Complete. Let's do a 6-minute lesson. Sure. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So we got our Affinity. A lot of the hotkeys are the same as the Photoshop too. Got curves. So then you can do specific like layering mask probably, right? So let's do a mask. Mask layer. And then we got paint. Let's go brush tool. Okay. There's that. Hide the mask. Huh. Let's see. Now I'm used to GIMP, so I'm like, I don't know where that's at. You can hide. Where's the hide button? There's delete. Hides Control H. So you could hide this, or you can unhide it. Okay. Yeah, that works. That's a cool thing with like masks. Like in GIMP, they don't do masks properly. It's really destructive with a lot of the layers. Kind of sucks. So that's where I'm kind of like, oh, that's interesting. So like another good use of like a mask here. Let's just do a mask layer. And then I think we can do like specific level. Let's do like a level balance. This is something I do all the time for, actually not levels. Let's do an adjustment layer and do curves. So like curves, what I like to do for like a lot of thumbnails to like make things pop, I usually like set the first point like right here to brighten it up a little bit. And then I bring my highs right here and then kind of pull it over to make it kind of pop. And then I'd put that. So then like if you have that, the cool thing about doing it in like a Photoshop, which this is Affinity, not Photoshop, so you can easily toggle it on and off. You have a whole bunch of different options here. Let's do like a content ID fill probably would be the next thing. Like, let's say I want to extend this over here. Let's come back. And I think there's like probably something. Oh, here we go. In painting brush tool. Can we make that wider? Okay, that's cool. So let's say we want to get rid of that. Can we just click it? Make things disappear? Okay. So what about getting rid of that? Poof. Disappear. What happens if I do half and half? Ah, that's weird. All right. What about getting rid of this right here? That little plus sign. A little jank there. Let's bring it down a little bit. See if we can't make it just a hair bigger. Disappear. Not bad. All right. All right, Photoshop users. Stop using Photoshop. Go buy Affinity for $40. Stop. You know, I'm gonna make a video. I'm gonna start the video out like this. It's gonna go something like this. It's gonna be like, hey, do you hate yourself? Do you have a bad relationship with money? If you answered yes to both those, you're probably an Adobe Photoshop user. Well, I have a product for you today, and it'll help you fix those two things. It's called Affinity Photo. It's absolutely amazing, and you should use it. That's all I got so far. But damn, that would make for a great video intro. Just outing outing the Photoshop users. I would love that. Anything to get you off of Photoshop, man. Anyways, I'm gonna keep messing around with Affinity. I don't know why that popped in. Sorry for like the hour-and-a-half detour there. I just thought, man, I gotta show people this. Because one, I love supporting developers that actually make an amazing product that, especially a Photoshop alternative, honestly, any Photoshop alternative, I'm going to be like, hey, you want to use GIMP, use GIMP. If you want to use Inkspace, use that. You want to use Krita, you want to use photop.com, you want to use Affinity, use them. Forget Adobe. You absolutely have to get off Adobe. Anything to get off Adobe. I feel like I'm rescuing people addicted to heroin. That's what I'm doing. Trying to get people off of Photoshop. Stop using Photoshop. Crit is interesting. Crit is more for artists for sure. Yeah, whatever you can get the job done. I mainly love giving options. I don't want to tell people you can only do this. I want to say, well, you can do this, this, or this, or this. Pick whichever one works best for you. Just don't use Adobe. Yeah. Oh man. The game dev substance painter. Isn't there like Godot and some other stuff options for game devs out there? It's a good option. Oh man. Where are we on this, dude? I've just got to get better about this. All right, so we got our dependencies for wine. What other things were we doing today? All right, wine dependencies. Oh, we got Steam too. I feel like Steam comes after wine. Yeah, I think that's fine. So let's go apt install additional dependencies, command-v. Didn't we want to do apt get? I thought this is supposed to be apt get. Yeah, we had a whole detour last stream about how apt get was better than apt. So probably use apt-get is better for at least scripting. I just did in 5 minutes what took you almost 2 hours. Well, fair enough. My gaming script is almost 10 lines. Yeah, no doubt. Well, you know, it's all about the entertainment here. That's the big thing. We don't actually stream to make progress. If I wanted to really make tons of progress on the script, I probably would just do it late at night with like streaming to 10 people. That I do make a lot of progress when it's like 50 people in chat. But I don't want to ignore y'all. You know? It's all about the entertainment value over here. Now, for the packager, I want to say, let's set the packager to apt-get. Where would that be? It should be in the check environment. I want to say when we set our packager. Set the PGM, and then package. Okay. Let's just change this to apt-get. And let's find apt. And we'll go apt-get. And finally, right here, apt-get and apt-get. All right, great. I feel like that's good. Now, when we're doing our command, let's move over. Let's go sudo apt-get install -y steam Lutris. Now, one thing we got to do before this, Lutris requires a different repo as well. Let's go lutris.net, I want to say. Let's go download. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. You could go the deb package right here, or you could just grab the source on Debian. But right now, both these would get lumped into each. Now, if we grab the releases directly off of GitHub, I kind of want to go this route, actually. So what if we do this? Let's go past, but I think we could go tags and just do it a download via tags. So if we go tags, and do they have a latest tag? It doesn't really show. All right, let's have Jippity assist us instead of doing Lutris this way. Steam's fine because Steam just auto updates. But let's go Jippity and just say download and install releases latest with apt-get. Let's see what it spits out. Wants to do the no. Jippity, you're doing so well today. You weren't hallucinating at all. That's not at all what I wanted. That isn't what I want. I want to download the deb file from latest releases and install the latest using apt. Or maybe we do dpackage. Nah, dpackage doesn't do any dependency resolution. So let's just see. Yeah, using dpkg-install I think would be... Yeah, see, this is kind of what I was thinking. Okay. Now make a script to detect the latest release in releases and download and... Dude, this is the worst. If my English teacher from high school saw this, she'd slap me. Here we go. And install the deb package using apt-get. Yeah, using dpackage, what happens is if it's missing any kind of dependency, it will reach out and grab that dependency. The hope here is doing it this way, it would go ahead and grab and do all that. Hopefully. So, grabbing that, it's using JQ. Ooh, all right. Dang, it's getting a little bit more than I wanted to do. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. We can clean that up a little bit. That's fine. Let's just fix this. Yeah. So the big thing here. So we have this. We have repo Lutris. Releases greatest. Grab the URL. Check if the URL is empty. Download the latest right here. Okay, let's try that. Yeah, that's kind of weird how they old Jippity wants to do all that. I want to say it's a lot easier than that. Let's check in with Twitch chat. Twitch chat's always better than Jippity. It's been documented very, very so many times that old Twitch chat does a lot better than the hallucinations of Jippity. So, looking through here, we saw, where are you at? We already have done 32-bit architecture, so we should be fine. I do want to grab the latest and greatest, so that's it. Ion Tichy says, hopefully I said that right. That's a dangerous pronunciation. All right, anyways, all right. Let's see. What does this look like? So we're doing ls, tags, sort, committer date, head. Remote is not configured. All right. Specify. We got to specify Lutris here. Do we have to check it out and clone it first? Okay, maybe. Yeah, I don't want to clone it. It's such a big repo. I think Jippity actually might have gotten this one. Maybe. Let's see what Jippity's one does. So when we're grabbing it from here, Lutris repo, let's grab the URL first. Let's just curl this. I almost want to make it its own script. That's actually not that bad, because then we can just do a wget of it, or curl in this regard. Yeah, the repo right here. So what this looks like, do we have JQ installed? We do. Nice. All right. Speaking of which, let's just add it over here, JQ, just to make sure that's in there. So we add, this is a little bit redundant. Let's clean this up a little bit. All right, perfect. That's going to pull all that in. So then we'll just clean up that. So we should be able to grab the URL by curling that. Name ends with .deb. Browser download URL. We grab the download URL and then grab that. We're going to just make this a little more succinct, and then download Lutris, curl, extract it. Yeah, that should be fine. And then remove the file. I feel like that's all very good, actually. Stack Oversells says this. Yeah. You can't do latest.zip because I think each release is not a zip file for one. And then the second thing is it's always a .deb usually. If you look at the assets here for what is going to be downloaded and referenced, this is the actual file name. So it'll always be a Lutris, the version number, which will change, .deb. It's kind of weird, like, depending on the GitHub project, people do it differently. Some people do tag things with the latest tag. Most repos do this. But you'll notice if you go to Lutris's tags, everything's tagged with a version number like this. That's also how I do WinUtil. WinUtil is done the same way with just... my versioning is the day it is released. That's how I do my versioning. So instead of saying 0.1 or 0.2, it's always the day of the release is the version of WinUtil. So you're always going to know, okay, when did this release? You're always going to know exactly when that is, because I don't make up any like artificial version, because what is version 0.1 or 1 or 53? It doesn't mean anything, where an actual date for a version makes more sense to me. Let's see. Got a gist from Just Linux User. Let's see what this looks like. So he's doing version get-c, version suffix, Lutris, tail, cut, fields 3, grabs the version number, echoes, tr, and then does a wget of the version. Oh, that looks pretty cool. Let's try Just Linux User. Just Linux User usually has some pretty solid stuff. That looks like a pretty good script to me. So if we look at it, this is what it's doing. That actually looks correct. So let's go chmod. We'll do an executable script. And then if we run the script, boom, you got your Lutris file. Very solid. I like that. That's a pretty good script. So this is one way of doing it. He's setting a version variable with using Git. So instead of doing the GitHub API, what he's doing is just using Git with the ls remote, tags, sort, reference name and doing it this way, tail, cutting, and then just fields 3. Very slick. I like that. I think this is probably the best, most succinct way of doing it, but you can also see this way would probably work as well. The Jippity version is this. So it's grabbing the API URL and then setting all of that. And then you're doing this curl, selecting the line that name ends with deb, browser download URL, chopping that up, setting that. And then finally with the URL, you're doing the curl and download and then installing it. So different ways of doing it. Both were actually correct. I think I like this way a little bit better. Yeah, the Jippity version gets data for releases specifically. It's kind of cool. And with this script, you do not require JQ to be a prerequisite. MagGun, you have definitely just solidified. Twitch chat is the official winner of the script that grabs the latest version of Lutris. Good job. Good job. Jippity, you are the weakest link. Goodbye. All right. So we got that. Oops. Bloop. Let's fix all that. Yeah. Cool. Bam. Let's just tab that over. So we get that. It grabs the wget file. And then we do need to grab this guy, copy, and installing. And I think we can just do that. And that would be the correct way to install Lutris through apt-get and grab the latest version directly off GitHub. Does beta releases and tags? I don't think it does. Let's double check. If we look back at, actually, did I have that? Let's go tags. I do not see beta releases in here. Oh no, beta is in here. You got beta 1, beta 2. So no, you're correct. So it would grab betas. And I don't believe, are they specified as, it's specified pre-release. So it's close. So you could do like a modified script here too. So when you're doing the ls sort on tags, instead of doing ref name, I think you can do a filter of beta since the betas are labeled pre-release. Oh, here we go. We got some more. Let's see what we got. grep v beta underscore blah blah blah. If you look at that, is that, yeah, that should be fine. So really nothing really changes except for right here. Very fast. The V inverts the search, so it should return anything but beta. Man, that's cool. That is really cool. I love it. It's really neat. Like, you gotta love how nice that is. Oh, just cleaning up some of this. I kind of want to set this as a variable. It doesn't really matter per se. That's fine. That's cool. I like it. So let's go. Oh, you did? Let's see. Rux. Oh, I see it in GitHub chat or YouTube chat. 1 second. Let me grab that. And I'm going to just paste that right here. Yep, go to site. So for you, you're doing it a little different way. I like this way as well, though. Still better than Jippity. So if we look at latest release for this one, you're using the API GitHub, grabbing the latest release from there. Yeah. Same principle, just instead of doing a git ls, like just Linux user, you would be doing this way. And then we probably still would do that grep-v for inverting that to exclude beta and then pulling it out. That's kind of a cool method as well. Yeah, well, it was created 8 years ago, but hey, if it works, it works. You know, some things change, some things don't change. It just depends. When it comes to curl and grep commands and sed and JQ, there's not much that changes in that logic. Those logics typically don't really change as years go by. Normally, I wouldn't reference something 8 years ago, but in this instance, it looks good to me. Just my 2 cents. Yeah, it's cool. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to shut it down for today. This was a fantastic stream. I know we didn't make much progress, and I went on the huge Photoshop tangent, but, you know, let's make this final commit here, and I think success. It's the little progress. I know it doesn't feel like a lot of progress. Feels like 5 minutes of work probably got accomplished here, but you know what? It's the little things. It's the little things. I'm probably just going to do it this way, actually. Let's go into Z in Linux setup, lazy G. Oops. Let's get chmod execute 2 gaming, lazy G, gaming initial. Not gaming, not finished. Let's just, oopsies. What did I do? Let's just merge those by default, sure. All right, gaming not finished. Oh, damn it. What did I do? Updates rejected because the tip of the current branch is behind a remote counterpart. If you want to integrate, blah, blah, blah. Let's do a git pull. Okay. All right, cool. So we have that. How much did that change in my... I don't know. It's fine. It merged probably. No, we were able to merge. We didn't have to rebase. Geotan. Just Linux users gonna get me one of these days. It's only a matter of time. But man, that's gonna be a hilarious Easter egg when it does eventually happen. I look forward to the day, if you can. Shouldn't actually be that hard, but it'd be funny. It'd make for a great Twitch moment / YouTube moment that we will all enjoy when inevitably some lone developer tricks me into running something I shouldn't run. That's not a dare, by the way. All right, y'all. Have a great one. I'll see you probably soon. I really enjoyed streaming way more and just kind of doing more on the development side of things. I'm probably going to do some more late night streams, kind of like off hours, just so I can probably get a little bit more done as I do get a little sidetracked. But at the same time, we're all having a good time, having fun, going on rants, just looking at different things, competing on scripting. I think that's just amazing. All right. Peace all.